Bring her to me now. Before the end comes, his voice was hoarse, almost gone, but the urgency in it silenced the room. The billionaire, once feared and untouchable, now frail and clinging to life, wasn't calling for his family, his business, partners, or even the doctors surrounding him. His last request was to see the maid. The moment she stepped into the room, everything changed. His empire, his children, his legacy, none of it would ever be the same Richard Callahan was once. A man who dominated headlines. A mogul who built towers of glass and steel, owning fleets, hotels, and banks. People feared him, respected him, envied him. But they never loved him. Now, lying in the sterile white walls of a hospital room, the monitors beeped slower and slower. His breath rattled. His empire couldn't protect him from death's cold approach. Around his bed, his children waited like vultures. Their eyes weren't on him. They were on the lawyer's briefcase resting by the window. The will, the fortune, the inheritance. They whispered in corners, pretending to be grieving, but greed leaked through every glance. And then Richard whispered. One name, a name none of them expected. Grace. Grace had been in his mansion for 20 years. A quiet maid, hands always busy, voice always gentle. She polished the silver, scrubbed the marble, and carried trays across glittering halls, where no one looked her way, but Grace had seen everything. She had watched his loneliness grow after his wife passed. She had seen his children turn colder, hungrier for his wealth. And though ignored, she stayed. Not for his money, but out of a loyalty no one understood. The children protested immediately. Father, why her? She's just a maid. Richard's eyes, cloudy but fierce, locked on them. His voice, weak yet unyielding, rasped, Bring me Grace. Even in his frailty, the command carried the weight of an empire. The room fell silent when Grace entered. The atmosphere shifted. She wore her plain uniform. Her shoes squeaked softly against the floor, her hand still carrying the faint scent of soap, but Richard's face changed the moment he saw her. A soft smile broke through the pain. His children gasped. They had not seen their father smile like that in years. Grace, you came. Few knew the truth, but years ago, Grace had once saved his life. On a stormy night, she found him collapsed. In his study, chest tight from a heart attack. She performed CPR until the ambulance came. The doctors later admit without her, Richard would have died. Grace never told anyone. She never asked for recognition. The man who commanded nations had owed his life to the maid he barely noticed. Tears rolled down Richard's face. I thought wealth was everything. I thought power made me immortal. But you showed me what really mattered. When my world crumbled, you stayed, not for my money, but for me. His children shifted uneasily. The words stung sharper than knives. Grace squeezed his trembling hand. Sir, I only did what love requires. No one is too small to be seen. Not even a maid. His children couldn't hold back any longer. Father, she's manipulating you. She doesn't belong here. Think of your legacy. But Richard, frail as he was, lifted his hand with surprising strength. She is my legacy. You only wanted my money. She gave me what none of you could: loyalty without price. Love without condition. The room went silent. Lawyers stared. Nurses held back tears. His children had no words. Richard looked at the lawyer. His voice cracked, but his meaning was clear. Change the will. Grace will remain in this house. This empire. It will serve her as she once served me. The children gasped in outrage. Grace's eyes widened in shock. But Richard only smiled. This fortune began with pride. Let it end with gratitude. Those became his last words. His hand grew cold in Grace's. His chest rose and fell once more. Then silence. But the story didn't end there. When the inheritance passed to her, Grace didn't live as the children feared. She didn't bathe in luxury. She opened schools, built shelters, and funded hospitals. She turned his wealth into hope. For others, and those skyscrapers still bore Richard Callahan's name, history remembered something greater. the maid whose quiet loyalty became his final salvation.